We're live. Welcome. Go ahead.
No, tell them. Why is it not going on the other platform? It's taking forever. Okay, there we
One
go.
moment. There we go.
There we go. All right, cool.
Welcome to our Entrepreneur Family Podcast. Happy Friday. Listen, y'all, we're gonna just get right into it because we had a funny little conversation yesterday. And we were talking about our last few live streams. Oh, can you make it say my name too?
Yes. So it's not just Darryll Stinson. You gotta say Brittany, and it has to be in the right order, just so everybody knows, so everybody doesn't get confused. Think you're Darryll.
There we go. Thank you. I'm sure that's helpful. Okay, y'all. So here's where we're at. We've been doing this for a few weeks now, like about 2 months, not every week, but about 2 months worth. And so this is maybe number 5-ish, maybe 5 or 6. And I looked at Darryll and I said, hey, there's this thing that you can, kind of keep saying on the live stream. And it's not really what I originally was thinking that we were doing. And he was like, what do you mean? And so we got into a conversation and I actually pulled up the original intro for the podcast, because if you didn't know, this live stream series will eventually be turned into a podcast that will live on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And so I wrote an intro for the intro episode, and it was inspired after our big family road trip that we took last year. And if you haven't heard us talk about it, we did a 13-day, 60-hour road trip in a minivan with our dog, who's 70 pounds, with our 6-month-old son at the time, and our 3 daughters and the 2 of us. And we went from Nashville, Tennessee, all the way to Southern California, to the Grand Canyon, to Oklahoma and back. And we got to see multiple clients give their TEDx talks. We got to see family. We got to see friends. We got to hug babies that we hadn't seen since they've been born. We watched the sunset at the Grand Canyon. That's actually a really funny story.
What baby is this? Come on.
Ashley's baby,
okay.
Yeah.
Picking up babies now? I don't remember the babies part of the show. I got you.
Yeah. So anyways, it was an incredible road trip. And we realized we even got to celebrate signing on new clients in a hotel room and doing coaching calls from who knows wherever we had Wi-Fi. And so this idea for this podcast was birthed out of that. And I realized that there are a ton of families who look all different shapes and sizes that are doing business and life together. But the metaphor of the road trip.
You're about to say it. You were about to say it. Oh my God. Oh my God, you know you were. I can't wait to watch the recording.
That was just one
Oh my
part.
God.
You kept saying it like that's the most important part.
Listen, that was it. You're done now. You've disqualified yourself.
I didn't get life through my metaphor.
Listen, Lon, the whole context of the conversation is that for the 2 months that we've been doing this, I've been introing it with this description that was not the original description that she came up with. But then I told her, I don't care how we describe it. I just know that we're supposed to be doing this.
Yes.
And I said, you intro it today. So now she's introing it, and literally, number one, taking a long time.
And then number 2, backstory. This is not every week.
And then that's the point of the intro, to be short, concise, repeatable, so that people know what they're getting every single week. Anyways, and then proceeds to almost repeat the things that she told me that I wasn't saying. Oh,
Here's
Lord.
The thing, y'all. You can love us or go to the next live show, but this is pretty real. Anyway, so we're here to talk about all things life and business and what that looks like with you, with your family, with your spouse, and how all of those things commingle to become what we want to share, what we've learned, the good things, the bad things, and everything in between, and all the beautiful stories that have gotten us to where we are today. And I just want to take one more shout out. Last weekend, we had TEDx Alexander Park 2024.
Woo-woo!
Yes, huge success. Thank you so much. If you were there in person, if you were following online, We want to hear from you. We want to know what your experience was like. What did you love? What did you want to see more of?
Yep.
Stay engaged so that when the videos drop on the TEDx YouTube channel, y'all can be the first ones to hear about it, because we want to give all of our speakers a big lift within the first 24 hours of their talks going live. So we're going to support on and call on you for that help.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Cool. So, in honor of Men's Mental Health Month, no, that's not why we chose this.
Is June Men's Mental Health
I
Month?
think it is. I think it is. Yeah, you can Google it. The thing about me and like months, like mental health month, and like any type of month, it's like if I care about it deeply, even like Father's Day, Mother's Day, it's like I choose to honor those things all throughout the year. So the day is just kind of like for the world to kind of be on the same page.
Yeah, it's great. But Valentine's Day is stellar. No, you're getting better.
Valentine's Day, but I'm like, I pay her rent. You know what I mean?
Oh
so it's just like, what more love do you need than shelter? You know what I'm saying? So let alone food every day, but somehow I gotta come up with some extra stuff on a commercial holiday. So
you got spoiled on Father's Day. Did you want me to just, rein it back in?
I should be spoiled every day as a father.
You're
so
right. Okay.
Anyways,
Men's Mental Health Month.
So we were part of what we're going to talk about is just this overall topic of life and business, right? That's the theme of it. Just kind of what we were saying. And then second of all is talking to a counselor. I see King Miles says this is good. Talking to a counselor is scary to me. I appreciate your vulnerability.
Yeah.
Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. I think one of the ways that we reverse the stigma is actually make it something that's acceptable. Like we see people going to the gym to work on their physical fitness and nobody goes, oh my God, I hope they're okay. Oh, like nobody has that reaction. They're all like, yeah, they're going after it. Mm-hmm. I would say the same response is warranted with a, yes, that was a good word, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The same, now you made me forget my
Bring it back. So we don't look at people who are in the gym.
Yeah. So when you go to a counselor, I think it should be viewed at in the same way of like, man, look at this person going after it. They're facing their trauma. They're willing to be vulnerable. Like vulnerability is strength, right? So they're going and using their strength to get the help and the support that they need. Valentine's Day is my B-Day. That's a great day. Okay, we hear you, Dr. Murphy. That makes it better because of you. So counseling, I don't. It's kind of like the best thing I know to say about it is what I said. Is it's something that should stop being viewed as like this like emergency crisis, shameful thing to be a part of, and rather like a normalized, healthy thing to be a part of, an encouraged thing to be a part of, like regardless of if you're in a crisis or not. And for me personally, it's like, we scheduled our last counseling session because we had an argument that we could not resolve. And it's just like, it's easier to just talk about it and a counselor to be able to have a third party to tell her that she's wrong. And seriously. So it's like
your dad has to go.
My dad said if talking to a counselor is scary and would let me see, put it on the screen. If talking to a counselor is scary and would talking to a life coach be a different and less scary approach? Yes. Depending on where you're trying to get support, because they only can help you to the degree that you're willing to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And so if you're unwilling to be honest about where you're actually at with your feelings, where you're actually at in your growth and your development, then they can only help you to the degree that you're going to be honest about those things. And so it doesn't matter if it's a life coach or a counselor, if you're not being honest about where you're stuck, where you're hurt, what's your non-negotiables, what are the things that you look into, have in a relationship so that you feel loved, or in a business arrangement or whatever. So for us, it's like, okay, let's talk about this in counseling because I have an opinion, you have an opinion. We know mine is right, but we just got to talk this out in counseling to make sure that you can get on the same page about that. Mm-hmm. So that's what counseling is kind of viewed at as in our marriage. Is like, we can use it as this safety net. but it's also like, hey, let's stay in the consistency of this so that we are forward thinking, that we're also cultivating more intimacy. We're not just fixing a problem, we're actually cultivating more intimacy. And we've had less counseling sessions that are like that, but the ones that are life giving. It's like, cool, man, we're doing good. It wasn't like you need to fix this for me to feel loved. It was just like, all right, let's do this, like we can do this. That's cool. And so we can just do it for forward momentum in our relationship and in our business. So, that's kind of my intro statement into talking about counseling.
Yeah, that brings up a few things. So first, on the life coach versus counselor thing, I think this is really good because I would recommend both. And like, there are going to be things that you can talk to your coach about that are perfect to talk to your coach about. And then there's things that you can only talk to your counselor about because they're actually trained. And so going into both of those relationships with an understanding that you have an accurate perspective on how far someone can help you. Yes, what Darryll said, you can only be helped as much as you're willing to lay things out on the table and get help with them. And there are different lanes, right? So people recommend all the time, like, you should have multiple different types of relationships in your life for you to be honest with and express these things.
Yeah.
So there is an intimate partner, there is a friend, there is a mentor or a coach, and there is someone who's a counselor or, a psychologist or something like that. That's maybe more of a professional. So having a healthy understanding of who can help you with what,
right?
Because I guarantee if you put all of the weight on just one person in your life to help you with everything, you're going to get really hurt and frustrated because they are not designed and equipped to help you with all of those things.
Right.
It's a recipe for a lot of pain and frustration. So I would say it's both and for sure. And then like going to counseling proactively. And then even if we have a counseling session scheduled and things aren't in crisis and things are actually going pretty well, we've made the mistake of thinking, okay, things are good. We'll maybe like reschedule it again. And then things become more of a crisis. And then, oh, you better believe that appointment is not getting moved. And then there's been days where things are going really well. We keep the appointment, we show up, and I can't speak for Darryll, but I personally have a little bit of anxiety because I feel like if things are going well, I don't want to open anything up and rock the boat. And that doesn't have to be the case. We have successfully come in, opened the box, talked about things, and then in a healthy way, exited the appointment. And we didn't have to, have any big, like, painful argument after. Like, it's okay to do it proactively. If you're like me and you're like, oh my God, don't rock the boat, or if I just don't talk about it, it'll work itself out or go away. It never goes well.
Yep. 100%. Quick shout outs. I see Coach Jimmy on here, Matt, AJ. I see Michelle, Michelle McCrae, Michelle Smith. Good to see y'all. TGI, Miss Brooke, Miss Franco. Good to see you all. Dr. Norfleet, and of course, Redheaded Riding Hood. I like that. Red-headed Riding Hood. See, your name worked. You got a lot of promo. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know what questions would be pertinent to you. Of course, my pops is here. I see you, pops, and Mr. King Brown, and everyone else who's tuning in. There's a heavy importance on I tell people a lot of times that I talk about mental health through the lens of performance and productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say that is because I think that there's a way to step into a counseling setting and it be victimhood. It is disempowering instead of empowering.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. So like oftentimes when I step into my counseling session, it's like, okay, it's kind of like, where do you want to start? Like, what's coming up? Like, where do we begin? And there's a level to where I could basically just be like, oh, here's my problems, I'm stuck. And then again, there's nothing wrong with that per se. it's just not the most effective means to step into counseling in my experience. It's better when I come and I'm like, you know what? Here's the things I've been working on. Here's kind of where I've been stuck. I'm curious to know your thoughts on that, or curious to talk that through. Here's something that's been bothering me. Here's what I've done to journal through it, to process through it. Here's kind of where I'm getting stuck, or here's where I have conflict, or here's where I'm still hurt and don't feel heard. There's a level of self-leadership in that counseling conversation that helps make sure it's empowering versus disempowering, as an example. Does that make sense? And so just be thinking about that. Like, what am I actually doing in between the counseling sessions to work on myself? The things that I'm complaining about, do I have any practice? Have I attempted to resolve? Or am I just rehearsing it in my head over and over and over and over again? Because the more active I am in doing what I know to do, the more empowering it is when I have someone supporting me with where I struggle.
Yeah. Yeah, I think to be able to bring something to counseling that you've been working on, you have to intentionally be working on it.
Yep.
And knowing that you have a session scheduled will help you when you feel a little stuck, because you're like, okay, I can at least attempt some self-leadership in this area of my life, knowing that I have this support that's maybe just 4, 5, 7 days away. And it helps it not to feel like this big black hole of, I have no idea where to start. I have no idea when I'm ever going to get help with this. But I can bring what I have done to them, and get help that way. Oh, we love you too, Tara.
Tara in the house.
So good to see you.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, a lot of times when you speak on this topic, people people have very different reactions to different counselors and how they've like tried to get started, and maybe it was a terrible fit. Just like, give that like.
Yeah, it's interesting because like Britt, whenever I feel like every time she tries to get a counselor, it's just like the best and they're awesome and it's a perfect match. And
for a while.
It's like all good and she's all happy and they bond. And then I go and I'm trying to get a counselor and it's like, they suck. They're overly religious. They try to prescribe me the medication every single time. They tell me that I'm stupid and they're not supposed to say stuff like that in the counseling. And it's just like, man, I keep getting these terrible counselors and she keeps getting these amazing, perfect matches. And okay, maybe I had to have those experiences so that I could validate other people who are listening to this live stream right now, that maybe you've tried and it wasn't a good match, or the person was overly religious, or they talked too much, or like we had this one counselor that every time we asked a question, my homeboy went into like a 30-minute podcast recording solo episode. And it was just like, he was saying good stuff. It's like, hey man, we're not recording your podcast, bro.
That was our 50 minutes. Okay.
There we go.
See y'all next
week. You got great content though. And it's like I understand that can be frustrating when you are looking to open yourself up to get help with a particular area or multiple, and you're met with unprofessionalism or mismatches or people who don't have the right intentions, et cetera, et cetera. And it could be like frustrating, like, oh, I don't want to like look again because I'm assuming that my next experience is going to be like my last experience. Well, for me, it's like, no, wiping the slate clean, knowing that this is going to be a fresh experience, like keeping my hopes up, making the adjustments to look for the support I need, keeping my heart open that maybe the next person can be a better fit for me, and ultimately finding the person that, can help me in this season of my life. So, it takes sometimes trial and error. I think that's good. Like, just because you had a bad experience doesn't mean that the next experience will be bad. Just because you feel like it hasn't worked for you in the past doesn't mean that there aren't tweaks that you can make to that process that'll help it to work for you. And man, I get it. Just because you're discouraged doesn't mean you should stop trying.
Yeah.
And so, man, I just say stick with it. Keep trying different sites. Our current person's local.
Yeah.
So we have a local person that also has a license to do virtual. But when we do our virtual, we have to be in state because it's only for the state of Tennessee. So I can't be in like South Africa and have her do a counseling session with me, let alone if I was just in another state. Not everybody has those limitations.
There are people who
Yeah,
can practice across
yeah.
states.
So BetterHelp is
That's what I was
something
looking
that
up.
we, actively, recommend to people because they can connect you to so many different options and you can put in different, it's like a dating site, for therapists essentially. So check out BetterHelp.
Yeah, go to betterhelp.com/youmatter, and that's Darryl's link. And
Yeah.
I've actually had amazing experience with BetterHelp because I can do everything from my phone.
Yeah.
I can literally like text with them. I can do the video chat from my phone. It's very easy. And that's not the only one. That's just one option.
Yeah.
But I think the moral of the story is if you strike out the first time, try again because it's worth it.
Right.
And I did have a lot of really good experiences on the first go round where we synced really well and things were going really well. And then I actually got to the point with one that I just sort of felt like I outgrew our relationship, and I would show up to the calls in the end, really kind of like talking about my issue and then sort of like leading myself through it. And so if you find that's the case, that's okay too. Like you will grow. That's the point of going through this process, is that you're growing and you're healing.
Yeah.
And you had that relationship for a season.
Yeah.
And so if it's time for a new one in this new season, recognize that, which I think is a great lead in to talking about how counseling affects business. Because that counselor was not the most helpful when I would bring my career conversation to the table.
Right.
And some people actually specialize in that.
Yep. Yeah. Some people are used to working with high level entrepreneurs, or used to working with people in ministry, or used to working with people who are in like, first responder type of role in their career. Some people are better with family or better with women. Like, so you find people who can really help. What's up, Tabitha? We see you. I see Yolanda said that talk therapy, and this is a therapist, by the way, is not only therapy. There's music, there's art, there's dance, 100%, right? Something that's going to help to be an outlet, a place for those emotions and that energy to be processed and expressed is extremely important. Pop said proactively. In my experience, most people aren't proactive. They wait until their life is a hot mess before they even consider help. And some still won't seek help. So what's the best advice to help people seek help proactively? Stuff like this, getting out there, telling stories, helping people to overcome limiting beliefs and mindsets around it, and just being consistent in that advocacy on the front end. I think that's the only thing I found to be true. You ultimately can't force somebody to do it. And it is very much human condition that like we wait till things are on fire till we make change. We wait till we're too overweight till we finally get our diet together. We wait till our back is hurting until we go get it checked out. We wait till, people we love are gone till we say we love them. And it's just like sometimes the human condition causes us to be that way. And, just like anything else, where our attention is, our energy flows. And so the more that we talk about it, advocate it, be honest about it, put it on our social media, do podcasts about it, we're saturating the atmosphere with advocacy for counseling and normalizing the conversation, and more people start to follow suit. So that would be kind of my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. And you say this to students on campus a lot. Like when you see someone taking that step to go to counseling, maybe for the first time, or they're in the beginning of it, like celebrate that. That, because if someone, especially a man, has been vulnerable enough with you to communicate to you that they are seeing a counselor or a therapist, and that's new for them, it may not feel like a big deal, but it's a really big deal if they chose to share that with you. And so celebrate that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep. Beautiful. So anything else you want to say on that?
Not that specifically. I do want to get into the business stuff a little bit more, but what you got?
No, I feel good on counseling for today. I hope that people take that action and then choose to have that advocacy, right? And so obviously there's some people who maybe this is your nudge, right? Go on BetterHelp, go to my therapist, go to, search therapist online, look at people in your area, look at people online, and just get in a consistent practice around that as a space to process, as a space to grow, as a space to get insight. And then there's going to be people that you're actively doing that and maybe just not talking about it enough, to where now other people know that this is normal, this is acceptable. They don't feel like they're the only one doing it, like that will, like a lot of people always say, let's change the stigma, let's change the stigma. And we do like an event. And it's like, we want to change the stigma. Everyone start talking about counseling so that we know that it's normal. It's like, just like having your driver's license, or just like graduating from high school, or just like eating X amount of meals per day. It's like, it's just normal to be in talking about counseling.
Yeah.
So maybe you can be an advocate in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. What else? Business? Want to land the plane? We can take the exit. It'd be 26 minutes an hour. That'd be fire.
I here's what's coming up for me. And it's a little fresh. So let me we had a conversation a couple weeks ago, and then this week again, about something that's going on in our business. And it was really upsetting me. And what Darryll said to me, I received it not the most openly, but I wrote it down and I took it to process separately. But he was like, I think maybe why that's causing you such, negative emotions, because there's some old unhealed stuff from the past that is coloring this situation this week. And that can look like a variety of things for you. But I think what the point of me sharing that is to say, I am actively going back and looking at like, okay, what have I not looked at or dealt with? Or dealt with is like maybe an aggressive way to say it, but like, what have I not sat with and processed all the way through so that I have a healthier perspective with the things that I know today? Like, because if I'm stuck emotionally in one area in like an old place of trauma, and I haven't really like brought it back up to the light to move it through, then it's going to have a lens on today's events that are going to make the stuff of today not be perceived very accurately. Like if I had an old dirty lens that I'm trying to look through today with, that's not accurate as what today is actually showing me. And so it didn't feel good to hear. I actually felt really terrible about, what this has caused. And so I think that was the main story that came up when we talked about this topic today, is like, hey, you are at the center of your business as an entrepreneur. And so the more healed you can be, and the more that you can process when things come up, because there's so much stuff under the surface that until it gets pushed to the surface, we might not know that it's there to still be dealt with. But when it comes to the surface and now you're face to face with it, you have an opportunity and an obligation really to look at it and move it up, out, and through, so that your future clients, your future partners, your future business can thrive from that versus stay stuck in that old thing that isn't healed yet. And so that's like a very like recent, still in process thing. And it didn't feel great to look at, and I'm still looking at it. It doesn't feel great, but I know that future situations can be better when I move this through in a healthy way.
Totally. And it's that's why I say, like, business done in a spiritually aligned way is the best personal development tool of all time.
Yeah.
Because it forces you to look at all of your subconscious beliefs and how they show up in your results that you're looking to create in your business.
Mm.
And so it's a challenging thing sometimes to be like, oh, well, if I'm stuck in marketing, or if I'm stuck in coaching, or if I'm stuck in sales, or if I'm stuck in this area, there may be a deeper root reason why.
Mhm.
And I might have to seek some help and some different modalities to help me to move through that. So totally, man, it takes courage. But for me, I just always say, like, what I do is a choice. Who I am is like it's like it's that's not only dictated by what I do. So there's a detachment that I have from some decisions and choices that I made in my past. Like, that's a choice that I made. It's not who I am,
Yes, yes,
and it
yes,
gives me
yes.
this grace and this freedom to be able to look at whatever there is for me to address or to change about myself, because I'm recognizing that I'm really just uncovering these ways of being off of my pure light and my essence. I'm not actually the behavior choice, or
Right.
the person who's struggling.
Yeah.
So just being careful not to attach my identity to a decision that I made in the past, and to recognize that I have the power to make better choices. And when I make better choices that align with who I actually am, then that's when that starts to shine more obviously for the world to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep. Awesome.
Super good. Do you, like, if y'all have any other questions, we're here. Otherwise, we're gonna
Yeah.
run a commercial, and then we can.
Yep. I see. Amen. Morals are everything. Integrity is everything. Jared, what's up? Good to see you, bro. Eric, good to see you. Jamie, good to see you. She builds brands. Oh, snaps from the UK. It's good to see you. Yeah, man. So if y'all don't have any questions or anything, man, just like, obviously go take action or be an advocate. It's kind of like my takeaway for you all today. Obviously, if you're just now tuning this, go catch the rest. The replay will be on all of our social platforms except for Instagram. I think, I don't know where it's at on Instagram. And reach out, y'all. Like, we're about this. We've got our event. Our next live event is going to be August 17th.
In
Yeah.
Franklin, Tennessee. That's just
Yeah.
south of Nashville.
August, yeah. So I'm leaning towards the theme of storytelling for the event. All about stories. Okay, so stories are so powerful. They are how we have passed on our culture and our traditions. They are how we have influenced behavior and change. Whoever tells the most engaging, compelling story wins the attention, wins the influence, wins the affluence. It's all about story. A lot of the politics and the campaigns that we're watching right now are stories. It's a story that you're hearing. You haven't met any of these people in person. You saw some clips and you created a story that then shaped a perception in your life.
Yeah.
And so stories are such a powerful tool to leverage and also to be aware of, because if you don't have an awareness of the stories that are being fed to your mind, you won't recognize why certain stuff is showing up in your life. And so this event on storytelling is going to be able to help you to become a more persuasive, a more powerful storyteller. And we want you to submit an application to come, so that we know that you're not going to yield such a powerful tool for anything that's not of light. That you're not going to use story to manipulate people, use story to get your way, even though you should submit or surrender, but that you'll use it in a healthy way that makes more impact in our society. So it's in my link in my bio or whatever in my Instagram, and you can just DM us the word event or type it anywhere, and then we'll make sure we get you the link and register for that event. There's no door price. How do we sign up? Yeah, so link in my Instagram, and then also
send a
comment.
Message. Yes. August event.
Yeah, and we'll make sure we get you a link. Okay. All right, y'all. Peace.